Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second online concert of our revised summer concert season at Paris Presbyterian Church. I'm Joel Peterson, Director of Outreach, and I'm thrilled to be introducing you to Rob Sheffer, who is a classically trained guitarist, worship leader, and composer. Rob and I have known each other for a few years, having crossed paths studying in the music department at Houghton College. Rob graduated from Houghton with a master's in music in guitar performance and composition following his studies at Grove City College, where he majored in voice and guitar. He teaches guitar at Washington and Jefferson College and is the music and worship associate at Peters Creek Baptist Church in South Park. If you've been following our Facebook page, you may have seen some of his gifts already. We've shared a song of encouragement that he and his wife Maggie posted at the beginning of the pandemic shutdown. But if you haven't heard him yet, you're in for a real treat. Rob lives in Bethel Park, PA with his wife Maggie, his daughter Maria, and their growing family is expecting another little addition in November. So that's exciting. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much. I'm really, really grateful to be here. Thank you to everybody at Paris Presbyterian and to all of you who are joining us tonight. I'm sad that I can't be with you in person, seeing you, hopefully seeing your happy faces and reactions and all, but it's really exciting for me to be able to be in the comments and in the chat with you, to be able to talk about how everything's going. I'm really excited about music. I love playing the stuff that I play, but it's really kind of meaningless without having an audience. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to get to share some music with you, and hopefully allow you guys to get to know me a little bit better, and hopefully we can all just have a great time.
Well, Rob, I know you're multi-talented, and your training as a guitarist sets you up for all sorts of great music crossover opportunities. And guitar is one of those instruments that everyone wants to play when they're growing up, right? But people don't normally think about classical guitar, and I guess people don't really think about rock guitarists now in the same way they used to, so they don't have those people to look up to. But like classical guitar is not normally what people think of when they aspire to that. So I want to ask, what encouraged you and influenced you to study and make a living playing classical guitar and teaching it, and working from that as your bass player?
Sure. Yeah. So when I started playing guitar, I started playing in 8th grade, and I did not know anything about classical guitar, and I wasn't really interested when I first started playing classical guitar. Like many others, I wanted to play a lot of rock. My uncle is a really great rock guitarist and bassist, and I wanted to play a lot of the stuff that he did. Some of my first songs I learned were songs from a CD that he released, actually. I was very pumped up about it. And I was self-taught all through high school. And I started getting interested in some more things. I got interested in jazz, and I had, fortunately, enough good sense about me to know that I had some weaknesses in guitar. And so when I went to go, or when I finally decided that I wanted to major in guitar, I was like, well, I'm already practicing this 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I clearly love doing this stuff. I want to major in it. And so when I went for my audition at Grove City, I remember, and I played 2 pieces. They were both finger style. I didn't know that they had, I don't even know if they did have to be. I just decided I wanted them to be. But one was a jazz rendition that I had written of Amazing Grace. And then another one was a song called D-E-E by Randy Rhoads, who, if you're a rock fan, you may know is actually the guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne. But he wrote a classical-esque piece for his mom, whose name is Dee, hence the name of the song. And so I played those 2, and I will never forget that the teacher afterwards came up to me and said, you definitely got some chops, you know what you're doing, but you should know that if you come here, we'll exclusively be studying classical guitar. And my thought at the time was like, I knew enough to know that it would be good for me. I started singing when I was in 4th grade in my church's choir, and if you sang in the choir, we had to take private voice lessons with the instructor, and so we did a lot of classical training there, and I recognized what that did for me, and I recognized that I was missing out on a lot of stuff having never had a teacher before. So I just said, okay, sure, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do classical. And I thought, like, this will be good for me. I'll learn it, and then I'll mainly do electric guitar stuff, still rock stuff primarily. But within the first month of being in college and focusing on classical guitar, I fell in love with the technique. I fell in love with the repertoire. There's just some really beautiful classical guitar music out there. And I really loved the fact that I could play by myself that I could play unaccompanied, because I like to make a lot of in the moment decisions. And so, that's a little bit harder to do sometimes when you're working with a band. One of my favorite performance memories that I actually have for myself was I was playing a piece one time that I had written, and I made a really big mistake right at the end of it. And I somehow figured out a way to salvage it and decided, you know what, this won't be a mistake if I go into some whole other big thing from there. And so I use that as kind of a jumping off point. And so that's something that you can do. You can kind of change stuff. It's a little bit different every time. And so I loved being able to have that kind of control. And really, I'm grateful that I grew up playing a lot of rock music. I think that one of the strongest things about anything that we might call popular music, whether it's rock, whether it's jazz, whether it is pop, like whatever you would want to call it, it's how many people know it and the way that they relate to it, right? Like if I named, I don't know, probably a popular Beatles song, you'd be able to think about maybe what you were doing the last time you heard it, or maybe the first time you heard it. There's a lot of memories associated with that. And one of the things I love about classical music, and why I went into classical composition as well, has to do with the development of the music. It's not so much about what melody you have there, it's about what you do with it. It's about presenting it in different ways. And so I love doing music that kind of combines those two elements. I love taking something that you've maybe heard before and presenting it to you in a way that makes you think, like, I never really thought of it that way. And so that's kind of the way that I like to meld those two areas together.
We're all finding ways to cope with COVID-19 from the beginning of the pandemic to this strange in-between time right now. So I just wanted to ask, where have you gone for strength and encouragement in this time?
Yeah, so at first, as things were starting off with the shutdown, I was actually having a really hard time. I do a lot of social things. I do a lot of stuff out. A large part of my family's social involvements are through our church. And, when we weren't having regular Sunday services and regular Wednesday night services, it was kind of hard to figure out what to do. And a lot of other stuff that I do, I like to have a lot of time, during the day and throughout the week to be practicing or to be recording or, to continue to work on my craft to try to keep sharp on everything. And one of the things that was so difficult is, we usually have our schedule, like this is where my wife is, this is when I'm watching my daughter, this is when I have my practice time, and all that just gets thrown out the window. So, there's a lot of time without having the normal schedule that we have and that I relied on so much. And so I think at first I kind of had to go through this period of trying to not have a bad attitude about everything. But like so many other things, it's a matter of perspective and of trust. I do trust that God is doing something through all of this, that there's something that we're supposed to be learning. And I quickly started realizing that it was sort of silly of me to be missing out on my, practice time, when in reality I have this time that I get to spend with my wife and my daughter that is, completely unprecedented. Usually I would not have nearly as much time to spend, developing our family and developing those relationships. And in the same way, we're finding new ways to cater to the people in our congregation. As a musician, finding new ways to relate to people, finding people who are turning to music at a time unlike others, and finding people who are turning to their faith at a time in many other ways that they hadn't before. So a big bit of it for me was just starting to look at it as saying, like, God must be doing something here, so I need to start looking at that opportunity. And I think it's remarkable. In the Old Testament, we see things like the year of Jubilee, right, where there's these times when we're supposed to have this rest, and there's supposed to be almost kind of this reset button. And I think it's kind of widely understood that today we've all but written off the idea of, say, the Sabbath being a day of rest. And so I can't help but think there's a little bit of God looking up and saying, it's pretty important that you do this. That's why I commanded it. Let's force you to have a little bit of it. And so I think there's some positives there. I've also been really blessed by my church community, and especially I have a Monday night Bible study that I go to. If any of the guys are watching right now, here's a shout out to you. But just to be able to have brothers in the faith who are still keeping us strong, keeping us focused on things, keeping us accountable for staying in scriptures. I think having a support group and having a positive attitude and just trusting that God has a stronger outcome than whatever we would have originally planned for 2020. Those are really kind of the things that have kept me going.
Well, when I saw on your bio that you say one of your hobbies is reading philosophy, I wondered if you were going to say that you were reading some Kierkegaard or something to get you through this.
That would definitely be good. I'd say I've had a lot of good philosophical conversations lately. I maybe should have been doing a little bit more reading than I actually did. But you'll get that when you're running around with a family and chasing a 2-year-old, which is fun in its own way.
Yeah, and I am convinced, and especially as you talked about this as a year of Jubilee, should is a word that does not belong in the year of Jubilee, right? And just like, take I should have read, I should have done. Right. No. Jubilee year, here we go. Cancel all debts, right? Speaking of that, lastly, we're grateful to the members of Paris Presbyterian Church whose continued stewardship through this time is making these summer concerts possible, even now that we're online. But I know people, after hearing your music tonight, Rob, are going to want to hear more, and they're going to want to support you and your music going forward. So where can they hear more, and where can they support your music?
Yeah, thanks. So again, I really appreciate all of you just being here tonight, getting to know me some and listening to my music. But yeah, if you'd like to hear more of my music, I've got a couple links that will be down in the description of the video here. I've got one really nice link you'll see. It's link.bio/Rob Sheffer. It's awesome. If you click on that, it will actually take you to a landing page where I've got all of my other social media gathered together. So you can click on whatever you would want from there. But a couple things you might look at. If you're on Facebook, I do have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Rob Sheffer Music. And so I do a lot of posting there. I'll post videos. I'm also on Instagram a lot, Instagram.com/Rob Sheffer, or my handle is @Rob Sheffer, all one word. And I tend to post a lot there. Actually, I could really use your help on those two platforms. I have had a hard time, as we've been saying, just reorganizing priorities. I haven't been on social media as much as I tend to like to be. But so right now I'm trying to grow that back up. I'm trying to be on it more regularly. And so some things that you could do, if you see any content that I put out that you like, you can share it. That will let your friends see it. If you even just click a quick like, that tells Facebook or Instagram, hey, people are enjoying this, let's show it to more people. And if you can put a comment on there saying something you like, something you'd like to see from me in the future, those are all totally free ways that you can help out. You can also find me on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Amazon, anywhere that you would go to stream music or to buy it. Usually I should be there. I'm in most major online music retailers under Rob Sheffer. It's just my name. I currently have 2 different projects out that you could check out. One is a single, a song called Runaway. It's a contemporary Christian worship song. You'll actually be hearing it tonight in the concert. And then I also have this past Christmas, I released my first full-length album, and it's a solo classical guitar Christmas album. And I'd really encourage you to check that out if you like. I don't know about you, my mom is a big fan of watching Hallmark movies and celebrating Christmas in July, so this is a perfect time to get back into the Christmas season if you've been aching for that kind of music. And you'll get to hear a little bit of my Christmas stuff as well. And if you want to follow those channels and keep up to date with them, I'll be releasing more singles, some of which, again, you'll hear tonight very soon. But again, I thank you for any kind of support, including just being here tonight. It really means a lot.
everybody. Thanks again so much for being here with me tonight. It's really great for me to get to share my music with you. Hopefully you enjoyed that first song. It was my guitar arrangement of All Creatures of Our God and King. I think it's a great hymn. It's a great way to start off a worship service, and I think it's a great way to start off a concert as well. I hope you agreed. I want to share a bunch of things with you tonight. I want to share some of my classical guitar music, some electric stuff. I want to share with you some songs that I've written for my church, for other settings, and tell you a little bit about that. Next, I actually want to sing a song called "O Breathe on Me, O Breath of God." That may be something that you're familiar with. It is also a hymn tune, but I did something a little bit different. I took the text, the original text, so you're going to recognize that if you're familiar with the hymn, but it's a completely different tune. I've written the music myself, and then, as one of the most popular contemporary things to do is, I added a chorus to it. So I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you do. Here's "O Breathe on Me, O Breath of God."
Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, fill me with life anew, that I may love as you have loved, and do as you would do, and do as you would do. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, flow through my every word. Come to my heart and make your home, that I may serve my Lord. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, until my heart is pure, until my will is one with yours, to do and to endure, to do and to endure. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, flow through my every word. Rebuild my heart and make it yours, that I may love my Lord. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, my will to yours incline, until this selfish part of me glows with your fire divine, glows with your fire divine. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, heaven's own air, come down, make me to know my Father's home. Oh, breathe on me, O breath of God, so shall I never die, but live with you the perfect life for all eternity, for all eternity.
This next song is called "Give Thanks." You'll hear that a lot in it. It's based on Psalm 136, and it was originally written for my church around Thanksgiving a few years ago. I was doing a special music offering, and I was looking through scriptures to find something that would be appropriate for Thanksgiving, and Psalm 136 definitely stuck out. You'll notice there's a New Testament tie-in at the end as well that I think you'll be able to clearly see, but I hope you enjoy "Give Thanks."
thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. To him who does great wonders, give thanks. Give thanks. To him who made the heavens and the earth, for his mercy endures forever. Thanks to the Lord, the God of gods, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord, the God of gods, for his mercy endures forever. To him who made great lights, give thanks. The sun to rule by day and stars by night, for his mercy endures forever. Thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endures forever. To him who saved his people from Egypt, give thanks. To him who through the desert provided, for his mercy endures forever. Thanks to the Lord who gave his Son, for his mercy endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord who gave his Son, for his mercy endures forever. To him who gave his life, give thanks. To him who suffered and died on the cross, for his mercy endures forever. For his mercy endures forever.
I'm really excited to get to play this next song for you. A couple months ago, this past October, I released my first single. It was called Runaway, and that's actually what I'm going to play for you now. I don't usually get to perform it live because it really needs a full band, but with the magic of doing things online, I'm able to sing for you and play guitar and still pull in the band track from the actual single, which is great. So I'll get to play it for you, which otherwise I would not have. Runaway was written again as a special music offering for my church. About a year ago, one of the sermons was on the story of the prodigal son, which you've probably heard before, and you'll probably recognize it. The story of this song, Runaway, is the story of the prodigal son. I think it's, as always, a great message, a great a great story and a great lesson for us to learn. It's one of my favorite pieces to play, and so I really hope that you'll enjoy Runaway.
I've been packing my bags for a long time, waiting 1 foot out the door. All of your treasure could not bring me pleasure. I have it all and still I want more. Now as I leave for my new life, a story where I take the lead. Would it be the worst if I put myself first? It's time that I write my own scenes. But my best laid plans threw me flat on the ground. Then you picked me up and you turned me around. When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway? You've been watching me fall for a long time. Well, I thought I was climbing uphill, but when I came to my senses, found myself defenseless, you caught me and picked me up still. But my best laid plans threw me flat on the ground. Then you picked me up and you turned me around. When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway? When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway? You called me back, you called me home, you called me son. When I turned my face, you showed me grace, called me chosen one. I was torn apart, lost all that I've known. You ransomed my heart and gave it a home. When I had lost, you took the cross and made me your own. When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be? When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway? When I ran away, you ran faster. I turned from your grace and you chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway? You rescued a runaway. You chased after me. How can it be you rescued a runaway?
I've played a lot of my own music for you so far tonight, but I am a classical musician also, and classical musicians tend to play other people's music. And that's what I'd like to share with you right now. I wanted to share some traditional classical guitar music, and maybe you're already familiar with that, and if you are, hopefully that makes you excited and not upset. But if you're not familiar with classical music at all, I mentioned this in my chat that I got to have with Joel ahead of time, but what I love about classical music is what you can do with it, the way that it transforms over time. Good news, I'm going to give you some really easy to digest pieces. These are really nice introduction to classical music pieces if you are not used to that style of music. And even if you are, they're really great gems of the entire genre as well. They do have beautiful melodies. They're really meaningful. And what I really like is are these small little, we call them salon pieces. These are pieces that a guitarist might write and play for his friends when they come over on a Friday night for dinner. And then they go and they sit in the living room afterwards and they play music for each other. And that's really my favorite setting, and kind of what I want tonight to feel like a little bit. That's why I'm spending time in between songs to talk to you. I want you to get to know me a little bit more. I want you to get to know my music. I want to introduce you to some of the special things that are going on in the music. And so I'm playing these 3 pieces by this composer named Francisco Tárrega. He's a Romantic era composer. And the 3 pieces I'm playing are Adelita, Lagrima, and Maria. Interestingly, if you know me, and you may or you may not, Maria is the name of my daughter. That's not why I chose the piece, but it is a very happy coincidence. I think you'll like them a lot. Adelita begins as a this kind of sad, crying song a little bit. You'll hear it's got this sad moment followed by this happy intermezzo, and then it goes back to the sad. And the next piece, Lagrima, which actually means a tear or teardrop. Francisco Tárrega allegedly wrote while he was on tour traveling around the world and was missing his home. And you'll hear this piece is actually the opposite of Adelita in the way that it's written. It'll start off with this kind of major, happy, you might imagine kind of like longing for your homeland feel. And then there's this middle section that kind of conveys this heartbreak, and then it goes back again. And Maria is totally different, where these other two pieces, they've got a couple sections that alternate. Maria is what we would call through composed. It's just one story that goes from the beginning to the end. And I really like it because it's a very playful piece. You get to slide around the guitar a little bit. I think they're all really fun. I think they're a great way to introduce you to the styles of classical guitar music, and I really hope you like them. These are 3 pieces by Francisco Tárrega. Lagrima, take 2 again, kind of. Restarting. So at our house, we never put away the manger scene after Christmas. You may notice I just have the manger backdrop. I don't have baby Jesus. I don't have any of the other animals, anything else. That's because as I'm speaking to you right now, my daughter is over at our babysitter's house, and she wanted to bring all of the elements of this manger scene to play with. She just likes playing them from time to time, regardless of the season. And that's my nice little segue into talking about Christmas in July, which you may have heard of, you may know of, you may think is a great thing, you may think is a weird thing. So I actually looked up some of the origins of Christmas in July, and I don't know if you know anything about this, but I could not find anything definitive. I think it just decided to be a thing that people who either missed Christmas music in the middle of the year wanted, or if it's getting really hot in July and you want to remember what it's like when things are cold, or maybe, and my mom would be happy enough with this, maybe it's just so that the Hallmark Channel can show their Christmas movies at some totally different time and not feel bad about it. Whatever the reason, I wanted to share a Christmas song with you. Up next is a tune that you'll probably recognize. It's called "O Holy Night." I wrote this a few years ago for a Christmas concert at my church, and it was to be performed by a quartet, and it was. So it was me singing and my brother-in-law, George Barr, who actually went to seminary with Joel, and also our music pastor, Tim Meyer, and my father-in-law, Dave Barr. And so we all sang it together. I love doing quartet music. I was in barbershop quartets growing up. I wrote music for our glee club while I was in undergrad. And I just love singing anything that's a men's quartet, barbershop, anything like that. And I decided that I liked it so much that I was going to multi-track record it. So you'll actually see 4 little videos of me. I don't have 3 identical twins. It's just myself recorded 4 times singing "O Holy Night." I really like the arrangement. As I said, I really like doing a cappella music. I think it's a really good representation, hopefully, for you of some of the ways I like to be playful with music that you've probably already recognized and hopefully can now hear in perhaps a slightly different way. So, Merry Christmas in July. Enjoy O Holy Night.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and terror pining, till He appeared and the soul felt its worth. Ooh, the thrill of hope, the world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Oh, fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Truly He taught us to love one another. His law is love, and His gospel is peace. Ooh. Chains shall He break, for the slave He is our brother, and in His name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise His holy name. Oh, Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise His name forever. His power and glory
a lot of times, people who write music tend to be stronger in one area or the other, either music or lyrics. And a lot of times that's why you have groups that get together. One of them spearheads the music and one of them spearheads the lyrics. Sometimes you get people who are great at writing both. Now, usually I'm stronger with writing the music. I can sit down and I can improvise a guitar piece for you, no problem. Or I can sit down and I can come up with a nice melody, a nice chord progression, that's fine. Where I usually get stuck up is with the text. And one of the things that's really nice about writing music in any kind of church environment is that we have scriptures to go off of. And I wrote this special music piece when our pastor was preaching through Ephesians. And so originally this song was called Ephesians 1 because that's where the idea for the text came from. But that's not a very interesting title. Now, you may know that Ephesians 1 has ideas of opening the eyes of our hearts. And if you're familiar with contemporary Christian music, you may know that that's already a very popular song title that's been used. And so it's not really that helpful to write one about that again. And that was a kind of the challenge in reading this. Is the first obvious place is, open the eyes of my heart. But for copyright reasons and all other kinds of things, it's not a good idea to write a song that's already that's already existed. So I wanted to take a slightly different approach at it. This song is called Let Me See, and it's really my take as I look through the first chapter of Ephesians and kind of just wanted to see, what is this all about? What is this telling me? What can I take away from this? How can I reflect on this? And as I said, I tend to have a harder time writing words. But this one, somehow, it all kind of fit together. The words came to me in about an hour, which is very unusual in my writing style. It felt natural. It felt like I was telling a story, and it felt like I was conveying a message that was going to be appropriate to be paired with the scriptures being read. And so I hope that you'll agree. In fact, I'd encourage you, if you have a Bible nearby, either now or afterwards, go ahead and read the first chapter of Ephesians. That entire book is really incredible, but I hope that you'll enjoy this song and agree that it's a good representation of what we're learning.
Lord, give me not a heart of stone, that I should live for myself alone. I blind myself to your great deeds, and you in turn chase after me. Lord, you have power o'er all the earth, and you give everything its worth. Yet you saw fit to take my grave, all out of love, an act of grace. Let me see your love and power in my life, and find hope in your grace-filled sacrifice. And as I look upon the cross, your victory, Lord, open up my heart and let me see. You've promised riches I can't even count. You've called me son, not cast me out. I find my gold in heaven's store, that makes me weep and cry no more. You've shown your love and strength to me, and now I place my hope in thee. How can I thank you, God my King? One life to live, an offering. Let me see your love and power in my life, and find hope in your grace-filled sacrifice. And as I look upon the cross, your victory, Lord, open up my heart and let me see. your church, your body, still here on earth, your spirit, he leads us, Lord, as we go to spread your word. Oh, teach us through work and prayer to seek you everywhere, for your kingdom, Lord, is living here. Let me see your love and power in my life, and find hope in your grace-filled sacrifice. As I look upon the cross, your marvelous victory, Lord, open up my heart and let me see your love and power in my life, and find hope in your grace-filled sacrifice. And as I look upon the cross, your victory, Lord, open up my heart and let me see. Lord, give me not a heart of stone, but let me live and love like you alone. Make me your eyes, your hands and feet. In thanks I turn and follow thee.
One of my favorite lines in any hymn ever is from Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And it's a line, you may recognize it, tune my heart to sing thy praise. I've actually heard it a couple ways. I've heard some that are tune my heart to sing thy grace, tune my heart to sing thy praise. Whichever one you might go with. I love that idea of tuning our hearts. As a musician, when I tune my instrument, it's so important. I can't play a comprehensible song without tuning my instrument. It does a couple of things. First of all, you may or may not know this, tuning your instrument is actually healthy for the instrument itself. When I tune my guitar properly, it resonates better with the wood of the guitar. The amount of tension that is being put on the guitar is appropriate. It's built to be able to fight against a certain amount of pressure. With other instruments as well, it just simply makes them playable. So it's healthy for the instrument itself. It's also really important if you want to play with other people. If you have an orchestra that is not tuned beforehand, you're not going to enjoy it as much. That's why the orchestra takes time, even when they walk out on the stage and you, the audience, are sitting there waiting, that they actually take a moment and tune to make sure that they're going to be with each other, to make sure that you get the best experience possible, to make sure that the harmonies that they're playing with each other are amplified in a way. When you have notes that are perfectly in tune, it makes them louder. It actually creates other notes that we would call overtones. It really creates the entire experience, and that's totally ruined if you're not in tune. On the guitar, that has to do with tuning the string. Even if I'm playing a solo guitar, it's tuning the strings with each other. If I have one string out of tune, it can ruin the entire experience of the song. It can make it so that the melody doesn't work. It can make it so that the chords don't ring out as nicely. And in the same way, when we tune our hearts, we're setting our hearts up for success in three areas. The great writer C.S. Lewis talked about this some. He talked about this with an analogy with ships, but I like thinking about tuning. But when we tune our hearts to the Word of God, to the things that He has told us to do, the things that He's told us are good for us, the things He's told us to love, and when we've set our heart against the things that He's told us are evil, that are not beneficial for us, first of all, it's healthy for us. God created everything, and that includes creating us. And He knows the situations where we work the best. He knows what we're supposed to do. He knows what we're supposed to be spending time with. And then also, He knows the way that we're supposed to interact with each other. And that's why He's given us laws of how to interact and love each other well. And then, of course, our relationship with God, that vertical relationship, is the other one that's so important. He's given us these laws to put us in right standing with Him, to draw us closer to Him, to make us more like Him, who is the epicenter of all goodness. And so that line, tune my heart to sing thy praise, I've just always loved. It's been one of my favorites. And that's probably why I've always come back to Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And that's what I wanted to play for you now. From time to time, I've been invited or asked to provide music for funerals. That's a very humbling experience, and it's also a very meaningful and heavy one, and it's one that I feel very honored to be invited to do. It's especially difficult if I know the person. And this past year, I lost my father in January of 2020. He had been sick for many years, and I was very fortunate to get to have some time with him, knowing that the end was coming, to get to spend some last quality time with him. And I sang and provided music at his funeral, which is one of the hardest experiences that I've ever done. It was one of the hardest scenarios to actually be able to sing, to play, to stay focused at all. But it was very meaningful for me to be able to pick out some songs. To be able to pick out songs that I know that he knew, songs that he wanted, and to be able to put my personal touch on them. One of my favorites and one of his favorites, and one of the songs that I did sing at that funeral is It Is Well With My Soul. I often think of it as a funeral song, as many of us do, but I think it's especially a great song and a great message for us to hear at just very difficult times like these in general, when we don't understand what's going on in the world, when we're sequestered, when we don't have our usual support system, when it's sometimes hard to remember that God is in control and that God is planning everything that's happening right now, that he has his hand on it, and he's ordained that everything that's happening right now is for his glory and is headed towards some really magical and majestic point. It's helpful for us to be able to say, "It is well with my soul," and to be able to rest in him.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ has regarded my helpless estate, and has shed his own blood for my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back like a scroll. The trumpet shall sound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, 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 it is well. It is well, it is well with my soul.
Well, friends, I'm really excited to play this next song for you. It's a hymn that you may recognize, A Mighty Fortress is Our God. This is going to be my classical guitar arrangement of it. And you may have noticed this with some of the other guitar arrangements that I've played earlier tonight. But I like to take hymns and tunes that you might know, and I like to do the classical thing and do something with it, transform it over time, so that you can see what might it look like in this situation, what might it look like in this situation, and so that you can leave saying, I never really thought of it that way. I've never heard this hymn in that way, and it helps me to understand it and appreciate it even more. And so that's always my goal as I come up with arrangements. And that's one of the reasons that I love arranging so much. Composing music from scratch is beautiful because you're really just creating music that hasn't existed before. But arranging music is playing on something that you're already familiar with. It's joining in a conversation that you've been having already for years and putting a new perspective in it. And so I'm really excited to play this arrangement of A Mighty Fortress is Our God, and I hope you enjoy it. I've been fortunate to have been able to sing in choirs for most of my life, and I've sung in some really, really fantastic choirs. When I was in undergraduate and graduate school, our schools had touring choirs. So each spring, usually around Easter, we would actually go. We'd prepare a program and go on tour, sometimes around the country. We went to California, we've gone to North Carolina, we took the Northeast, a bunch of different areas. And to be able to sing music for different people, for different congregations in different places. And I've always loved that. I've always loved singing. I've always loved singing in choirs, and I've always loved just getting to share music with different people. And one song that's been very meaningful in both choirs. This is a song that I sang in my undergraduate choir, and then it was sort of a theme song almost in our graduate choir. Is "Give Me Jesus." It's a wonderful hymn. There have been some fantastic arrangements of it. And as I was thinking of songs that I wanted to play for you today, and of songs that I just wanted to prepare in general, and that I wanted to give my own take on, "Give Me Jesus" is one of them. It's wonderful because it's such a simple song, and it's so beautiful, and it's so meaningful, and it can be so powerful. I don't know if this is a message that you need to hear right now. If it is, I hope that it will be a blessing to you. And regardless, I really hope that you enjoy it. That no matter what season we may be in, whether it's a high or a low, whether we're alone, whether we're with many people, whether it's the moment we've begun a journey or the moment that we're ending it, Jesus is always the answer. Jesus is always who we need, and always who we should keep our eyes set on. Enjoy "Give Me Jesus."
Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. And when I am alone, and when I am alone, and when I am alone, give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. And when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have all this world. 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 Give me Jesus.
Well, friends, our time together is nearing an end. I have just one more piece that I want to play for you, and surprise, surprise, I'm very excited about it. I've actually been, spoiler alert, excited to play and sing all of these songs for you tonight. They're all songs that I love. That's one of the great things about being able to do a concert is I get to pick everything that I'm playing, and so it's all music that I really like. I hope that's come across. I hope that you've really liked it too. This last song is Be Thou My Vision, and you may recognize that. That may be a hymn that you're very familiar with. If it's not, I'm really glad to get to introduce the tune to you. This is also a guitar arrangement, but it's a little bit different from the others that I've done. This is actually for solo electric guitar. I know you didn't think you were going to get that tonight, but here you go. I'm going to give you some solo electric guitar. And the way that this song is usually performed, I use what's called a loop pedal. And so what that means is that I play a phrase, and then I tap a pedal with my foot, and it plays that part back again. And then I play something new over it, and it keeps adding these layers. And so what I love about doing a looped song is that usually music presents itself in a horizontal manner. It changes over time, right? And we see this is what the phrase, the melody did at the beginning, and this is what it starts to do now near the end. This is really cool because it gives us more of a vertical perspective. By the end of the song, you're going to hear just this landscape that's been created with all the elements. But what's really cool is that when it's built up one step at a time, you get to see each element be put into place. And you get to hear all of the things that get put over top of it. So I really like that. And one of the great things about being able to get to do this remotely is instead of using a loop pedal, I actually get to go through my computer. And that just, it adds some nice little things. It's going to help to make it sound a little bit bigger and fuller and beefier. And so as much as it's a very odd thing for me to not be physically with you in person, there's some great advantages to being able to do a concert in a setting like this. There's things that I can do right now for you that I couldn't do if I were standing 50 feet from you, at least 6 feet from you, right? But I really enjoy this last song. I think it's a cool way to show you how a song can be built up. And I really hope that you like it. This is my version of Be Thou My Vision. Thank you again so much for coming out tonight, for sharing this time with me, and for allowing me to share some music with you. I've had a great time playing for you. I really hope that you've had a great time as well. If you'd like to hear more of my music, there's links down in the description of this video. You can find me on Spotify, you can find me on Apple Music, you can find me on Amazon, on Google, wherever you would like to go to get your music. If you'd like to stay up to date with the things that I'm doing, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. Anytime you can like or comment or share any of those posts, that's a really big help to me. And if you would like to donate to help me fund any future endeavors, future releases, there's a link and a spot that you can do that as well. But it means so much to me that you came out tonight, that you listened to my music, that I got to share that with you, and just thank you so much for this time. Hopefully I can see you again next time in person, perhaps. Regardless, I hope that you have a great weekend. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas in July.